Forgot to say Simon Says.
10 dark and gritty movies for Judge Dredd lovers. As a law enforcement officer in the dystopian metropolis of Mega City 1, Judge Dredd is a street judge with the authority to play the judge, jury, and executioner. The fictional character made his first appearance back in 1977 in the second issue of the British science fiction anthology comic 2000 AD. The magazine's longest-running character boasts 2 live-action renditions on the big screen, along with a number of video games. The universe of Dredd highlights dictatorship in relation to the law enforcers and how management takes no accountability for the ruthlessness and unjustness felt by those who have become civilian casualties. In today's video, we will be talking about 10 dark and gritty movies that will hook all Judge Dredd lovers to their seats.
Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
Punisher Warzone 2008. After having lost his wife and child to mob violence, former Marine Frank Castle has spent the last 5 years as a vigilante known as the Punisher. With a vow to kill all evildoers, he was getting rid of the mobsters at a very steady pace, and now the police see him more as an aid and less of an obstacle. However, when Castle fails to kill Billy Brossotti, the latter decides to wage a war against him and will not give up till Castle is dead.
We need to get my money back. 2, we're gonna get rid of Frank Castle.
The storyline might seem quite basic, but it serves its purpose. Lexi Alexander's 2008 superhero film Punisher Warzone can easily be addressed as the ultimate Punisher movie, boasting way more gore and bullets than a lot of action movies put together. Both Dredd and Castle happen to be alike in a lot of ways, particularly in their outlook on justice. They are both dark, brutal, and extremely good at what they do, and that's getting rid of scum. Ray Stevenson is superb as Frank Castle. He is powerful, threatening, and at the same time fun to watch. Not many know this, but Stevenson undertook an exhausting training session with the US Marines to gear up for the lead role. Alexander, who happens to be an ex-stuntman, world karate and kickboxing champion herself, took part in Stevenson's weapons training program. Also, one might say Dominic West is a tad over the top as Brossotti, but that is precisely how the villain needs to be. After all, a hideously disfigured mob boss called Jigsaw with vengeance on his mind cannot be taken lightly. So be prepared to see a lot of people get killed and hacked up in a distinctive bloody fashion. Full credit to Alexander for showing the gritty universe of the Punisher without really backing away from the gore. Remember the first scene where the Punisher literally goes on a killing binge, from butchering the dinner guest to breaking the neck of the mobster's wife? Every kill is carried out in a characteristic bloody way, and that is what sets the tone for the remaining running time. So, if you happen to be a Judge Dredd fan and a lover of extreme action, you are in for a real treat.
Mag now reactivated.
It's about time.
Pass is over, John. Time for something new and improved.
Oh, hell.
Demolition Man, 1993. In the year 1966, the streets of Los Angeles are dominated by vehemence and fear. To top off the helplessness, Simon Phoenix happens to be one of the most dreaded criminals that the city has ever witnessed. There is only one man who can stop him, and that is LAPD Sergeant John Spartan. When Spartan arrests the convict, he is unexpectedly found guilty of a crime and sent to cryopenitentiary along with Phoenix, where both are cryogenically frozen. In the span of Spartan's 36-year punishment, the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and Santa Barbara have merged into a peaceful utopian megalopolis called San Angeles. Meanwhile, Phoenix, who is brought around for a parole hearing, succeeds in escaping from the prison. After police forces are unable to stop him, they have no option but to discharge Spartan. Not only does the cop have to catch Phoenix, but he also has to adapt himself to a futuristic society that he has literally no idea about. Marco Brambilla's 1993 American sci-fi action film Demolition Man marks his directorial debut. Right from the competent cast and script to the plotline, every element comes together in making this one of the most amazing action movies of the 90s. Unlike most of the other action-packed extravaganzas, this one has a direction. The revelation of the future that is on display here is irrefutably unique and unforgettable. Everything including the production design, special effects, cinematography by Alex Thompson, art direction, staging of the action sequences, and Elliot Goldenthal's brilliant score deserve a definite mention. Sylvester Stallone as the fabulous Demolition Man plays by his own rules and does what he always does best. He is someone who will actually blow up things to get the job done, and he literally does that here. Wesley Snipes as the psychopathic Simon Phoenix gives Stallone a pretty tough competition. Snipes, who is a highly trained black belt, had such strong kicks and punches that it seemed blurry on camera, so he was advised by the producers to slow them down. You may not know this, but Stallone initially wanted Jackie Chan to essay the role of Simon Phoenix. But Chan refused because he believed that Asian viewers would not like the idea of a heroic actor playing an evil one. Also, who can forget Sandra Bullock? She was unquestionably a breath of fresh air. Watch out for the one-liners and the action scenes that are bound to hook Judge Dredd fans. Do give this underrated movie a shot. You will thank us later for the recommendation. Riddick, 2013. Deceived by the necromongers and abandoned on a desolate planet, Riddick soon becomes proficient in acclimatizing to the harsh atmosphere and alien predators. But with a series of deadly storms approaching, he is left with no choice but to activate an emergency beacon that reveals his identity and location to mercenary groups in the area. This 2013 American sci-fi action film, written and directed by David Twohy, marks the third installment in the Riddick franchise. Full credits to Twohy for actually coming up with such a powerful script and an amazing choice of elaborate characters. Believe us when we tell you that the first 10 minutes of the film do not have a single piece of dialogue, but that is the charm of a Riddick flick. It happens to be so rich in its universe that it tends to pull the viewers in without even having to tell them much. This aspect is quite similar to the Dredd universe. Riddick boasts a very hostile planet, which in turn leads us to some spectacular visuals, and it goes without saying that David Egby's cinematography happens to be remarkable here. We also have our main man, Vin Diesel, returning as the character created by the brother duo Ken and Jim Wheat. Diesel is fantastic as always, never failing to enthrall his fans. He had even gone to the extent of spending 4 months in the woods to make himself ready for the role. No wonder it paid off. To add to all this, you have the musical score by Graham Revell that sinks in pretty well with the heavy action sequences. So if any of you happen to be in the mood for some great entertainment that is jam-packed with a lot of action scenes, then Riddick is definitely for you.
I'm bringing him up to CA.
Looper, 2012. Joe works as a looper for a Kansas City crime syndicate, which uses the concept of time travel to send people from the future to be killed in the past. Joe's primary work is to kill and dispose of the victims. However, to prevent any kind of links to the syndicate, a looper's final victim will be his or her retired future self. Disposing of them closes the loop and ties up any loose ends. Joe is aware that there will be a day when his own future self will be targeted, but when that day arrives, older Joe manages to escape. What follows is the struggle of the two men attempting to achieve their own motives. This 2012 American science fiction film, directed and written by Rian Johnson, has a well-constructed story boasting a thoroughly original and entertaining idea. The fact that Johnson comprehends that a productive action flick does not require blowing things up to create impact is something he should definitely be patted on the back for. As a viewer, one is bound to love the ample time he gives for character development as well as how the story unfolds. We have a plot that is multi-layered, which scouts numerous distinctive ideas and possibilities. The nice twist early on is bound to keep you hooked till the end. One of the other highlights of Looper happens to be the terrific performances by Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, their chemistry aiding the plausibility of them being a single person. Levitt does an outstanding job portraying the younger version of Bruce Willis, duplicating the latter's accent and grumpiness. The wonderful background score by Nathan Johnson, the picturesque visuals by Steve Yedlin, along with the beautiful editing by Bob Ducey, just cannot be missed out on as well. Looper has on display all the elements that every science fiction fan desires deep down. We highly recommend that you give this a shot.
I'll fucking haunt you.
I can live with that.
The RAIDE, Redemption, 2011. An elite police squad is sent to arrest notorious crime lord Tama Riyadi from his high-rise apartment in the slums of Jakarta. All is going well until the team's cover is blown and Tama is infuriated. The crime lord goes to the extent of granting perpetual free residence to all his thugs in exchange for the death of the intruders. What follows is a brutal fight between the SWAT members and the thugs as the former try to survive whilst completing their mission. This Indonesian action thriller, written, directed, and also edited by Gareth Evans, is bound to make every Dredd fan out there feel deja vu. Law enforcement trapped in a high-rise building? A ruthless drug kingpin? Limited resources? Does all of this ring a bell? Of course it does. That being said, the RAIDE Redemption offers more grounded action scenes brimmed with gunfights, knife fights, and hand-to-hand combat. The martial arts depicted in the movie is known as pencak silat, which happens to be the native fighting style of Indonesia. Every actor who played one of the cops had to undergo a training program with the Indonesian Navy Special Ops, called Kopaska, to learn about their methods, including the usage of weapons and hand signals. Evans' direction will make you want to pause the movie and catch your breath. It's that intense. To top it off, the film score by Mike Shinoda and Joseph Trapanese, along with the cinematography by Matt Flannery and Dimas Imam Sapona, deserve special credit. This is a recommendation that we firmly stand by.
And don't try to follow me!
We won't.
The baby's going with me!
No.
I'll kill it, man! I'll do it! I'll fucking kill it!
We can't have that.
Robocop 2, 1990. Detroit is once again trotted by a gang of drug dealers, and Robocop happens to be the only one who can bring things back to order. When the cartel's leader Kane is apprehended by Robocop, the conglomerate Omni Consumer Products secretly transforms him into Robocop 2, a new android who happens to be way stronger. This leads to Robocop facing him again, but he does not know that Kane did not forget who he was. Irvin Kershner's Robocop 2 might not be as good as the first, but if you're wondering if Part 2 happens to be a worthy sequel or not, then yes, it definitely is. While the first one inevitably happens to be a masterpiece, it's the second one that seems a lot more relatable in terms of the brutality and tone of the Judge Dredd universe. From the futuristic dystopian setting and delirious drug lord to elements such as law enforcement corruption, this 1990 film has a lot in common when it comes to the world of Judge Dredd. Boasting a savage sense of humor and a perfect brew of dark satire and graphical violence, Robocop 2 truly feels like a sequel. What's notable in this flick is a much better climax than the original and some spectacular shots of violence in the end. The fact that the original cast appears takes the film notches higher. It's a safe bet for a good time.
Now kiss your ass goodbye.
Runaway, 1984. In the future, robots happen to be a part of our daily lives. But just like any other electrical appliance, they are prone to malfunctions. When these robots break down, they end up posing a threat to the people and their property. These are called runaways and are mostly taken care of by a particular division of the police thoroughly trained in the field of cybernetics. However, when a household robot ends up butchering an entire family, a police officer begins to unravel a homicidal plot and soon finds that there's a lot more to it. Director and writer Michael Crichton's Runaway happens to be quite a decent movie that is loaded with suspense and also deals with a distinguishing and interesting feature: robots. But if you're wondering what really makes it work, then the answer is Tom Selleck. He brings a lot of credibility to his part and the story. The film also features extremely good special effects given the fact that Runaway hit theaters 37 years back. Not only does this enjoyable sci-fi thriller have robots going nuts, but it also depicts a society of total mistrust. The plot develops well and manages to hold interest. There are plenty of scenes to enjoy here, thanks to Crichton and his skillful direction that builds up a very nice atmosphere of suspense and thrills. Also extraordinary is the electric score by composer Jerry Goldsmith. To give more impact to the synthesizers that were used, numerous speakers were set up in theaters nationwide. One can only imagine the outcome. So don't hesitate to give Runaway a try. It makes for a nice afternoon watch. Alien Nation, 1988. In the year 1988, Earth happens to make first contact with an alien civilization that has adopted Los Angeles as their new home. After 3 years of quarantine, these aliens, addressed as newcomers, gradually begin to assimilate into human society. The plot of the movie centers around the relationship between a police investigator and the first newcomer detective, and how the duo investigates a criminal underworld while attempting to crack a homicide. So, how does one go about describing Alien Nation? Is it a buddy cop neo-noir? Is it a sci-fi flick? Is it a crime drama? The answer is, director Graham Baker's 1988 movie happens to be a lot more than any of those. In plain and simple words, Alien Nation is way ahead of its time. What Baker delivers here is a timeless classic. You will be amazed at the profundity of the story and the grittiness of the background. James Caan as Matthew Sykes shines throughout, especially in the action sequences. It's a sheer delight to watch him essay such a tough guy role. The chemistry between Caan and Mandy Patinkin, however, is what sets the benchmark of Alien Nation really high. Mind you, this is not a typical Hollywood blockbuster that is bursting with aliens. It's much more than that, and one has to see it to come to a conclusion. Definitely recommending everyone with a little bit of intellect to give this a sure shot. Black Rain, 1989. When a Japanese Yakuza member is arrested in New York, NYPD officer Nick Conklin and Charlie Vincent are given the duty of accompanying him to Japan. During the transfer process in Japan, the duo gets tricked when they turn in their prisoner over to the mafiosos disguised as the police. As the detectives stay in Japan and try to track him down, they get tangled into the Yakuza schemes and soon realize that the only way to win is by playing the game like the criminals do. This 1989 American action thriller film directed by Ridley Scott has an overwhelming atmosphere on display, which is precisely what the film needs. Everything from a good cast, great acting deliveries, and phenomenal cinematography by Jan de Bont, to some stupendous solid action set pieces make this an ultimate police thriller. Full credits go to Scott for bringing his graphical skills to the front as soon as he saw the possibility of depicting a cross-continent culture clash. With stunning imagery, an enormous amount of detail, and Hans Zimmer's Oriental-influenced score, you get an epic movie.
A vicious snowflake.
Mandy, 2018. In the year 1983, a quiet lumberjack named Red Miller happens to live with his aspiring artist girlfriend, Mandy Bloom, in a secluded cabin somewhere near the Shadow Mountains. However, as fate would have it, a deviant leader of a hippie cult gets smitten by Mandy's beauty and soon robs Miller of his happiness. Miller, armed with a crossbow and custom axe, goes on a violent rampage, taking revenge on the cult members in a grisly manner. This 2018 psychedelic action horror film, directed and co-written by Panos Cosmatos, has the perfect tinge of 80s grindhouse thrown in it. The acts of violence shown here are brutally swift. There is a brilliant chainsaw fight scene that is bound to catch the attention of all the gorehounds. Cosmatos is quite successful in creating a surreal atmosphere, and the music score by Johan Johansson mixes perfectly with the psychosis and drug-induced frenzy the film has on display. One is likely to get absolutely hooked to the visuals along with the hues used. Benjamin Loeb's cinematography has a variety of independent technicalities on display, such as the double lens flares, slow motion fades and dissolves, animation, and telephoto shots, all used to enhance the psychedelic feel. Regarding the cast, every single member is pitch perfect, and Nicolas Cage definitely deserves a special mention for his outstanding performance. This is a must-watch for all those viewers who happen to be fans of the genre.
This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.
No.